Why does pain change people so much? Why can one betrayal turn a warm person emotionally cold for years? Why do some memories refuse to die even when the event itself is long over? And why does life sometimes feel less like living and more like surviving a war that nobody around you can see? Here is the painful truth most people never say out loud. Human beings suffer differently from every other creature on Earth. An animal gets hurt and eventually moves on. But a human being can replay one moment of rejection, humiliation, or betrayal thousands of times inside their mind. One sentence can quietly dismantle someone's confidence for years. One experience can turn a person who was once open and warm into someone distant and guarded. Not because they chose coldness, but because warmth once cost them too much. Pain does not only hurt the heart, it rewires the way people see everything. When we are young, most of us believe certain things without questioning them. That loyalty matters, that honesty protects relationships, that good people eventually win, that the people who say they care actually mean it when the pressure arrives. Then life slowly introduces a different reality. You discover that some people only stay loyal when staying is convenient. You discover that kindness is sometimes interpreted as weakness. You discover that many relationships survive on usefulness rather than genuine connection. And worst of all, you lose the version of yourself that existed before those discoveries. That version who entered rooms without suspicion, who trusted without calculating, who believed in people before they gave any reason not to. Machiavelli understood something that most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid seeing, that beneath manners, smiles, and polite words, human beings are frequently driven by fear, self-interest, and survival. Once a person truly encounters this side of human nature, something shifts permanently inside them. The world feels colder. Trust begins feeling dangerous. Even simple conversations start carrying weight they never carried before. This video is not simply about suffering. It is about what suffering does to the architecture of the human mind over time, about the psychological survival instincts that form quietly, without permission, after enough disappointment, and about the loneliness people carry while still managing to smile every single day. If you have ever felt changed by something you never fully healed from, stay until the end. Because what you are about to hear may give language to parts of yourself that have lived without words for a long time. Before we begin, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Pain changed me. Number 1. The psychological awakening. There comes a moment in certain people's lives when they begin feeling disconnected from the world around them. The places still look the same, people still laugh, conversations still happen, but something inside has shifted. It is difficult to name at first. The best description many people can find is this: it feels like everyone else received instructions for how life works, and those instructions somehow never arrived for you. You begin noticing the exhaustion behind people's smiles. You hear conversations that sound more like performances than communication. You notice how rare it actually is for two people to speak honestly to each other rather than saying whatever the moment seems to require. And slowly the world stops feeling emotionally safe in the way it once did. This awakening rarely begins with one dramatic moment. More often it accumulates quietly, being overlooked too many times. Realizing you remember people who do not remember you with the same warmth. Watching someone support you publicly while competing with you privately. Noticing that certain people reach out only when they need something and disappear when you do. At first, you dismiss the patterns. Maybe I am reading too much into this. Maybe people are just busy. Maybe I expect too much. But patterns do not disappear simply because you look away from them. Eventually, they become impossible to unsee. And once that happens, your energy begins changing. You stop entering conversations with the same openness. You filter what you say before saying it. You become more observant, not because you suddenly despise people, but because experience has trained your nervous system to be careful. Machiavelli understood that human beings often reveal their true nature not during comfortable times, but when pressure, jealousy, or self-interest enters the picture. A person can smile at you for years and still quietly resent what you are building. A friend can stand beside you until standing beside you costs them something. That truth is genuinely shocking to people who grew up believing honesty is the norm. But adulthood introduces performance. People say what sounds correct. They act in whatever way the audience in front of them requires. Personalities shift, depending on who holds the power in the room. After observing this long enough, many people begin feeling detached, not from individuals, but from society as a whole. Not superior, just outside of it somehow. They sit in crowded rooms, feeling psychologically miles away. Their body participates while their mind quietly watches. They wonder whether anyone in the room actually knows anyone else, whether connection is happening, or whether performance is simply happening between multiple performers simultaneously. That feeling becomes its own particular kind of loneliness, and it can become self-reinforcing. Once someone becomes deeply self-aware, shallow interactions begin feeling like a drain rather than a comfort. Gossip feels meaningless. Fake excitement feels like sand in the teeth. Certain relationships start feeling like habits rather than choices. This is why some people become quieter as they grow older. Not because they have less to say, but because they have become more selective about where they spend their words. Speaking requires energy, depth requires safety, and safety requires trust. When trust becomes scarce, silence becomes more honest than pretending. There is another dimension of this awakening that rarely gets discussed: the realization that emotional rescue is not coming. Many people carry an unconscious belief formed in childhood that someone will eventually appear to make the hardest parts of life manageable. A partner, a mentor, a friend who truly sees them. And for some people, this belief survives well into adulthood, quietly shaping every relationship and every disappointment. But at some point, maturity forces a different understanding. Most people around you are managing their own private struggles as best they can. The person who seems completely confident may go home feeling like a fraud. The person making everyone laugh may be using humor as a pressure valve for something much heavier. Everyone carries weight they do not show. That realization can land with tremendous loneliness, but it also produces something important: responsibility. The person stops outsourcing their healing to whoever is nearby. They begin understanding that growth is largely an internal process, uncomfortable, unglamorous, and, ultimately, non-transferable. And perhaps that is what psychological awakening actually is. Not becoming emotionless, not becoming suspicious of everyone, but finally seeing human beings as they actually are. Not heroes or villains, but complicated people carrying fear, insecurity, desire, ego, and wounds they barely understand themselves. And understanding why trust breaks so easily, why communication fails at the worst moments, why people who love each other still manage to hurt each other deeply. Once someone awakens to this reality, they cannot return to the simpler version of themselves that existed before. That version is gone. But what replaces it, when handled with intention, can be something more durable. Not innocence, but clarity. Not openness, but discernment. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my peace. Number 2, the blade metaphor. Imagine someone placing a sharp blade in your hands. At first, it feels like power. You recognize manipulation faster. You notice hidden motives in conversations that previously seemed innocent. You stop being surprised when people reveal priorities that do not include you. The world makes a different kind of sense now. Sharper, cleaner, less confusing. But there is something nobody warns you about. The same blade that protects you from deception cuts the person holding it. Because clarity comes at a cost. The more clearly someone sees reality, the harder it becomes to feel emotionally comfortable inside ordinary life. You walk into a room and immediately sense the tension between people before a word has been spoken. You hear compliments that land like thinly veiled competition. People assume that understanding brings peace, but understanding often brings distance first. You begin carrying a kind of internal commentary that runs beneath every conversation. Someone says they are happy for you, and something in you reads the frequency beneath the words. Someone says you can trust them, and a quiet voice inside replies, "Proceed carefully." This is not paranoia exactly. It is pattern recognition, a skill built from experience. But it comes with weight, because now you are always translating. Machiavelli wrote that appearances are among the most powerful forces in human interaction. Most people are not fully who they present themselves to be. This is not always deception in the malicious sense. Often it is insecurity, fear, or simply the understanding that honesty carries risks in most social environments. People hide parts of themselves because showing those parts previously cost them something. Vulnerability, once punished, does not return easily, but the result for the perceptive person watching all of this is a growing sense of isolation. Not the isolation of being alone in a room, but the isolation of standing behind glass, observing life rather than fully participating in it. Watching people connect with what feels like genuine ease while you carry awareness that makes ease difficult. This is particularly pronounced after betrayal, because betrayal forces a person to audit everything they thought they understood. The mind goes back through old memories and reclassifies them. That moment that seemed like friendship, was it? That period of loyalty, was it real? Or was it convenient? Betrayal does not only wound the present, it retroactively rewrites the past, and from that rewriting, new questions form automatically. What does this person actually want from me? Would they behave the same if I had nothing to offer? How much of this connection is real, and how much is transactional? Sometimes the answers confirm what the heart hoped, but sometimes they do not. Highly perceptive people often appear calm from the outside while carrying something more complicated internally. They have learned to keep the surface still while the underneath moves. They develop dark humor as a way to name painful things without drowning in them. Because if you can make something into a joke, you maintain a certain distance from it. The joke becomes emotional armor worn lightly. Here is the critical distinction the blade metaphor reveals. The same awareness that isolates can also protect. It teaches boundaries, not the spoken kind, but the internal kind, the ones formed from genuine understanding rather than rules. It teaches a person to read environments before trusting them, to observe behavior over time rather than accepting words at face value. The problem is not the awareness itself. The problem is when the blade becomes the only tool a person reaches for. When every interaction becomes an investigation, when the search for hidden motives leaves no room for genuine connection to form. Because life cannot be lived entirely behind glass. At a certain point, a person must decide whether pain will sharpen them or simply isolate them, whether wisdom will teach them when to be open and when to be careful, or whether it will collapse those two things into constant defensiveness. That decision is harder than it sounds, particularly because the heart and the mind rarely agree on timing. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My eyes are open. Number 3. Humanity's fear of life. Animals fear danger. Humans fear possibilities. A deer runs when it hears movement. A bird escapes when a predator appears nearby. Their fear is immediate, concrete, and functional. When the danger passes, the fear passes with it. But human beings can suffer from things that have not happened yet. That is the terrifying peculiarity of human consciousness. We can mentally construct disasters, inhabit them fully, feel genuine anguish about them, and then discover that they never arrived at all. The body sits quietly in a room. The mind is already living through next year's catastrophe. One delayed message becomes, "They are losing interest." One mistake at work becomes, "My entire future is compromised." One awkward interaction replays for days, while the other person forgot it 5 minutes after it happened. This is not weakness. It is what consciousness does when it has been hurt enough times. The mind, after experiencing real pain, begins scanning for future threats. It treats anticipated emotional damage almost the same way it treats physical danger. The body responds, racing heart, tightness in the chest, that specific exhaustion that comes not from doing things, but from expecting them. Machiavelli understood that uncertainty is one of the most powerful forces shaping human behavior. People are easier to influence, to manipulate, to control when they do not know what is coming. And uncertainty is everywhere in a human life. Nobody fully knows who will stay. Nobody knows when health will change. Nobody knows which relationship will outlast which season. That pervasive uncertainty, lived inside every single day, creates a particular kind of low-grade fear that many people never name but carry everywhere. What makes this darker is the way fear operates on a delay. A person can spend years afraid of humiliation that nobody is delivering. Someone can fear abandonment so completely that they begin pushing people away, not because they want distance, but because ending things on their own terms feels safer than being left. Fear, when it becomes habitual, stops being a reaction and becomes a filter. Everything passes through it. The tone of a message, a shift in someone's body language, a silence where there was previously conversation. The mind, tuned to threat, finds signals in things that were never signals at all. And modern life has amplified this in ways that would have been difficult to predict even a generation ago. People now have access to an endless stream of other people's apparent success, joy, confidence, and achievement. The comparison does not happen occasionally. It happens constantly, invisibly, in the background of daily existence. So fear is no longer only personal. It becomes social. The fear of falling behind, of becoming irrelevant, of reaching a certain age without having achieved enough. At some point, many people stop living forward and begin managing fear sideways. They are not building toward anything, they are preventing collapse. Running not towards something, but away from something. And that shift from aspiration to protection changes a person's relationship with their own life. The worst part is the way chronic fear steals presence. A person can be physically surrounded by exactly what they love, the people, the moments, the quiet morning, while their mind is 3 years ahead, running calculations about what might go wrong. The fear of loss corrupts the experience of having. The worry about endings contaminates the middle. Many people genuinely do not remember what mental quiet feels like. Stillness becomes uncomfortable. The mind, trained by years of anticipating problems, keeps searching for danger, even when life has gone temporarily calm, like a smoke alarm that keeps ringing long after the fire has been put out. And here is what makes that particularly painful. The people who think this way often blame themselves for it. They ask themselves why they cannot simply relax, why their brain defaults to worst-case scenarios, why peace, when it arrives, feels suspicious rather than welcome. The answer is not character weakness. It is adaptation. Survival mode trains the nervous system to remain alert. Peace requires trust, and trust, after enough disruption, does not come back automatically. It has to be rebuilt, slowly, imperfectly, against the resistance of a nervous system that has learned that quiet is often the pause before something breaks. Still, human beings keep moving forward. They keep trying. They keep attaching to people and places and hopes, knowing at some level that attachment creates vulnerability. That loving something means accepting the risk of losing it. That caring deeply makes a person available to be hurt deeply. And they do it anyway. That particular quality, choosing hope inside a world that provides continuous reasons to abandon it, is worth pausing on. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I will not fear. Number 4. The 4 psychological survival mechanisms. The human mind was not designed to absorb endless disappointment without adapting, and the adaptation it makes is rarely visible in the moment. It happens gradually, quietly, one experience at a time. Number 1. Emotional detachment. Emotional detachment almost never begins as a choice. It begins as exhaustion. The person starts out trying. They show up consistently. They answer when called. They forgive faster than is probably wise. They extend loyalty and expect, reasonably enough, to receive something comparable in return. Then reality delivers a series of corrections. The people they sacrificed for become scarce during hard moments. The people they defended say something that reveals those defenses were never wanted. The people they trusted treat that trust as a resource to be used, rather than a gift to be honored. And after enough of these experiences, the person's nervous system begins adjusting its baseline expectations. This is where emotional detachment enters, not as coldness, but as fatigue, wearing the face of protection. What changes is not the capacity to feel. People who have become emotionally detached often feel things very intensely. The intensity is precisely why they protect themselves. What changes is expression. They stop explaining their pain to people who have demonstrated they will not handle it carefully. They stop chasing connection that consistently costs more than it returns. They stop performing vulnerability in environments that have punished it. Machiavelli observed that loyalty frequently survives only as long as mutual benefit survives. That is a brutal truth, but experience confirms it for enough people that it eventually stops being surprising and starts being structural, built into how they approach all relationships. The person who once trusted naturally now observes before committing. The person who once loved openly now moves more slowly, more deliberately. And behind all that deliberateness, many of them privately grieve the version of themselves who did not feel the need for any of it. That grief is real. The loss of ease, of uncomplicated trust, of the ability to be surprised by kindness rather than suspicious of it. That is a genuine loss, not a character flaw, a cost. Number 2. Wearing social masks. One of the stranger truths of adult life is how many people perform themselves every single day, and how rarely anyone mentions it. The person making the room laugh may go home to silence and feel it more completely than most. The person who seems the most certain may carry the most private doubt. The person who appears to be winning at life may be more afraid of losing it than anyone around them suspects. Human beings hide themselves, sometimes deliberately, sometimes out of pure habit, because the mask was put on early enough that removing it stopped feeling like an option. The reasons are practical, even if the result is isolating. Visible weakness invites exploitation in certain environments. Honest emotion disrupts social dynamics in ways that tend to cost the honest person more than the dynamic. Sensitivity, shown too early to the wrong person, becomes a map they use to find you when they want to cause harm. So people learn to perform stability they do not feel. They develop the ability to present one emotional weather to the world while experiencing a completely different one internally. They say, "I'm fine," with enough conviction that the conversation moves on, which is sometimes exactly what they need, and sometimes the loneliest moment of their week. Machiavelli understood that society tends to reward projected confidence over admitted struggle. People respond to apparent strength faster than they respond to visible need. So the performance continues, not necessarily because people want to deceive anyone, but because honesty has not always been safe. What this produces over time is a particular kind of loneliness that is difficult to describe to anyone who has not felt it. Being surrounded by people who know your name, your job, your opinions, your jokes, and still feeling essentially unknown. Wanting someone to ask how you are actually doing, not the version of the question that expects "fine" as an answer. Some people wait years for that question. Some stop expecting it. And some begin to wonder if the version of themselves beneath the mask is even worth knowing, whether the performance has been running long enough that it has become the person. Number 3, seeking control everywhere. After emotional pain arrives without warning, after trust breaks in a way that was not anticipated, the nervous system begins trying to prevent that surprise from happening again. This is the origin of the need to control everything. It is not about power over other people, though it can look that way from the outside. It is about eliminating uncertainty, rehearsing conversations before they happen, mentally absorbing rejection before it arrives so that arriving hurts less, mapping worst-case scenarios with obsessive precision because the mind believes that if it has already been there, reality cannot ambush it there. The logic is internally coherent. The execution is exhausting. Life does not cooperate with this strategy. People change direction without warning. Plans collapse for reasons nobody could have anticipated. The variables are too many, the control too limited, and the effort of managing all of it begins consuming the energy that living actually requires. What happens then is that a person stops inhabiting their present life and begins living almost entirely in preparation for imagined futures. They cannot relax during stability because stability feels like a setup. They cannot enjoy peace because peace feels temporary by definition. The mind stays on guard constantly, running surveillance on the environment, the relationship, the conversation, looking for the earliest possible signal that something is about to go wrong. This is not strength wearing armor. This is fear wearing armor. And the distinction matters because the person inside the armor is not protected from pain. They are simply exhausted before the pain even arrives. Number 4, escaping reality. Not everyone faces their internal experience directly. Many people survive by moving perpendicular to it. They stay busy. They keep sound running, music, videos, because silence has a texture they find unbearable. In silence, you can hear yourself, and many people have things waiting in themselves that they are not ready to hear. So they scroll. They chase distraction with the dedication that might otherwise go toward healing. They keep the entertainment running late enough that sleep arrives before the quiet does. Modern life has made this easier than at any previous point in history. A person can now avoid their own interior for years with excellent content and constant stimulation available at every hour of the day. The infrastructure for self-avoidance has never been more sophisticated. But buried emotion does not decompose. It accumulates, and it finds other exits. It surfaces as irritability over small things, as a heaviness that arrives on Sunday evenings for no articulable reason, as tears at a song that shouldn't reach that deep but does, as a feeling of being fundamentally tired that sleep does not fix, because what is tired is not the body. Machiavelli observed that humans tend to prefer comfortable illusions over uncomfortable truths. This is not cowardice. It is often just the reasonable management of a cognitive load that already feels unsustainable. People delay the hard internal work not because they do not believe in it, but because the timing never feels right, and life keeps providing perfectly serviceable distractions. The reckoning, when it comes, tends to arrive in quiet. When the entertainment ends, when the room empties, when the noise stops, and the self that has been waiting patiently, or not so patiently, is suddenly there. And that meeting, between the person and the parts of themselves they have been managing around, is uncomfortable enough that many people do everything they can to delay it. But it is also, for many people, the beginning of the only kind of change that actually holds. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I face myself. Pain changes people. Often the change happens quietly and gradually. A small withdrawal here, a slightly firmer boundary there, a certain warmth that becomes less available over time. A person laughs a little less than they once did, trusts more slowly, keeps certain rooms inside themselves locked. This is not failure. It is adaptation. And adaptation, even when it costs something, is evidence that a person survived what they survived. Machiavelli understood that pressure reveals character, not only the character of others, but the character of the self under stress. Disappointment teaches things that comfort never can. It teaches what actually matters versus what only seemed to. It teaches which relationships were structures and which were real. It teaches a person the difference between who they perform being and who they actually are when no performance is required. But the question that remains after all of this, after the awakening, after the fear, after the survival mechanisms have done their work, is whether suffering makes a person wiser or simply more defended, whether pain produces discernment or only distance, whether someone can remain genuinely kind after seeing clearly what human nature contains. Those questions do not have clean answers. They are questions a person lives rather than solves. What is true is this. Many people watching this video are carrying battles that nobody around them fully sees. Some are trying to trust again after experiences that made trust feel like a liability. Some are healing from betrayals that changed the way they understand people. Some have been strong for so long, for so many other people, that they have forgotten what it felt like to be the one who needed support. And what they need most is not advice. It is recognition. The understanding that what they are experiencing is not abnormal, not weakness, not something that requires fixing before it is acknowledged. It is the natural result of being a human being who paid attention, who felt things deeply, who cared enough to be hurt. The quiet resilience in that and the continued moving forward, the continued reaching for meaning inside a life that has given genuine reasons for cynicism, is not a small thing. It is, in its own way, extraordinary. If this video touched something real inside you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And before you go, consider this. Maybe the heaviest part of life is not the pain itself. It is the slow realization that pain changes the person you were becoming. But the person you are becoming after pain, more careful, more real, more deliberately kind, that person is worth knowing too. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I will not break.